Hello and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Bonus Point Rugby podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsors. First off, Whalebird Kombucha. If you're looking for a great tasting beverage that is actually good for you, go try them out at your local Whole Foods, Air One, or other health food stores. Secondly, the Rugby Nation. The Rugby Nation are the leaders in strength and conditioning specifically for rugby players. Check out their website to get amazing fitness and nutrition programs to keep you rugby fit during COVID. Lastly, OsteoStrong LA. OsteoStrong is a unique state-of-the-art wellness center located in Mar Vista. It has outstanding results in strengthening bones, joints, and muscles. In just 10 minutes per week, you can increase strength, bone density, improve posture, balance, and most importantly for rugby players, your athletic performance. If you're interested, go check out osteostrongla.com to book your free consultation. Enjoy the episode. What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Last Week in Rugby on the Bonus Point Rugby podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Tj Olsen, and this week I thought I'd give James and Huller a rest and switch it up a little bit by inviting some special guests today. So both guests are joining us from Auckland and the beautiful Aotearoa, and the coaches are arguably from one of the most prestigious rugby clubs in New Zealand. In the history of New Zealand club rugby, this club has produced the most All Blacks players, and since 1922, they've lifted the Gallaher Shield in Auckland a whopping 35 times. So super excited to have these guys on the show today. Please welcome from Ponsonby Rugby Club, Jeff Ierome and head coach Pete Leulusoo. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. How are we doing, guys?
Good.
Doing good, TJ. Thanks for having us.
Pete?
Hopefully, I've been sort of enjoying some of the content that's been on your platform, and hopefully we can add something to your listeners, to your podcast subscribers. So thanks for having.
Hopefully isn't the word. I know you got good content, Pete. I was learn a lot off you in 2018. So bring that same fire, and we'll be all good to go. But before we jump off the show, I just want our listeners to get a little bit about you guys, just a background, and we'll start with you, Jeff, because this is the first time I'm meeting you, and I know you're a local Auckland boy. You went to St. Peter's. You played professionally in New Zealand for Bay of Plenty, and you also played in Japan for multiple teams, and now you've moved into the coaching space. So I guess I've got a two-part question is what was it like playing in Japan, and what was your transition like into coaching?
Japan was awesome. I'm not too sure if there's many players that sort of don't speak highly of Japan. But yeah, playing over there is awesome. They talk around about heaps of time with family. The rugby's actually, when I first got out there, was a bit of a headache, but as the years sort of went, as the years sort of went on, it got better, and you could just see it with the national team now, at the caliber of type of players, Japanese and foreigners they have over there.
It just continues to get better, eh? Like it's just every year I just see it, and I'm super stoked to watch them play. Yeah,
and it is. It's just built a whole heap of momentum over the years. They've got better in and around how they run their programs and stuff. And I think that's to do with a lot of the foreign coaches going over and just adding their little bits in there.
And what about the transition into coaching? What was that like, going from being obviously a professional player for 10 plus years and then jumping into the coaching space back home in New Zealand? How was that for you?
It's been actually quite an easy transition. And back end of my years over in Japan, I sort of started to do a bit of coaching as well as playing. Mm-hmm. So I sort of looked after, for example, did things around analysis, and then also did a couple of little work-ons with young Japanese players sort of coming through and that. Or young club players coming through. And then the transition coming back home was quite easy when you walk into a setup with Pete there and Kev Senior and Tony Punga, who are all pretty mature
not
boys.
A bad cast, eh? Yeah, that's what I thought is when I came in and I started coaching at Ponsonby, I was sitting there going, I couldn't ask for a better group to work under. Yeah. it's pretty good. No. So, yeah, no, that's awesome.
Definitely was a bit spoilt when you walked in there, and credit to these guys to where they've got Ponsonby out again.
Yeah, well, Pete, we'll transition. That's a good transition if I've ever heard of one. You were obviously a player at Ponsonby, and you were a player overseas in Portugal, and a player coach in Portugal, and you came back to where it all began, and now you're the head coach for the Ponies for the past, correct me if I'm wrong, 5 years, right? So this is your 5th year.
Yeah, this year would have been my 5th year if we had gone through the full season. But yeah, this year.
So I think we're going to talk about Ponsonby rugby at the end of the show, but I want to know what it was like playing and coaching in Portugal. What was that like?
Oh no, it was heaps of fun. I sort of gave up the New Zealand dream quite early on in my rugby career, and thought I'll join a mate who was playing over in Portugal. I think just before the World Cup. So I went over there, had a good time. They just entered in their first World Cup, the Portuguese team. So they were on a really good buzz over there, and no, it was good weather. Lots of attractive things to do.
I'd imagine some good food too. So that'd be awesome. All right. Well, I'm super excited to have you guys on today, like I said. But without further ado, let's get stuck into a rapid recap of the Mitre 10 Cup. So as usual, I'm going to break down the scores and do a quick analysis of our game of the week and ask you guys a few questions. So we'll go through first. Counties Manukau, they broke their losing streak finally with a win over Naki, 31-27. Manawatu did the same. I've been waiting for them to get a win for a long time. They got a win over Southland, 24-12. In the Battle of the Bays, the Steamers win over the Magpies, 22-17. That was a great game to watch. Shout out to my boy, Paddy Garland. Yeah, no, it was a great game. Canterbury go down against Otago. So Canterbury having a pretty bad run of it, 23-16. Tasman get the win over Wellington, 19-3. That was also a good game to watch. And shout out to another Ponies boy, Taina Fox Matamua, playing in that side. North Harbour get the win over Northland, 24-8. And even though it pains me, we're going to jump into our game of the week, which is Waikato and Auckland. So I'm a Waikato man through and through. Like I told you guys, I'm going to make an exception here because of our humble guests and just talk about them beating the 31-10. It was tough. But in this battle, you've got two of the top teams in the Premiership tier going head to head. And even though Waikato went from number 1 to number 3 in the standings after this matchup, and I'm gonna leave that to the side. I was stoked to see some of the great rugby just being played in general. So both these Waikato and Auckland provinces, they both have Super Rugby teams above their programs, which in turn has created a great pathway for both clubs. So although you've seen teams like Naki and Tasman, they've won in previous years, it's generally teams like Canterbury, the Waikato, and Auckland who end up lifting the trophy. So Jeff, I'll come to you first with this one. Is the fact that they have Super Rugby team pathways the reason they're so strong in this competition, or is it something else? Is it tradition? Is it what about them makes them so strong?
Yeah, definitely has something to do with the Super Rugby sort of team attached to them. But I just think they're for example, Auckland's is probably just expected to be successful, being such a big province. And I think Waikato, the main provinces are all the same on that same sort of boat. But the great thing is to see got two teams like Taranaki, Bay of Plenty, and those guys competing really well against these mighty provinces as well. But yeah, definitely has something to do with the Super Rugby team attached to them as well.
Yeah, definitely. Pete, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I don't think there's many super players in that Waikato team. I think they've been
there's not.
Yeah, I thought they've been for the last few years, but this year they've had a really good season. So it must be. I think is that Roger Randall is. I think it's his second season in charge, so he's probably got something to do with it. Yeah. And also, I mentioned to our Ponsonby prop there, Rob Cobb, has probably got another reason why.
Well, I think it's the great thing. They're just able to build so much depth just in the talent pools, and you can throw them back into the club competitions, and they can just kind of simmer here for a little while, and then they're ready to go as soon as Mitre 10 Cup season. Because although it was great seeing All Blacks playing in Mitre 10 Cup, it's you really see how much depth New Zealand has. Because as soon as all those players leave, you've got a whole new crop coming in. Like even with Auckland, you've lost a few players in the season. Like I know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Waimana, he's gone down with a bit of an injury, hasn't he? The last couple of weeks or something like that.
Yeah. He had an injury. Yep.
Yeah, so it's really good to see the depth, but let's get cracking about the rugby. So although Waikato couldn't get the W, one kid I've been really liking to watch is Xavier Rowe, and I don't know if it's because he's dangerous on both sides of the ball or if I'm a biased Waikato fan. I think he's just been one of the standout halfbacks in the comp, and so you had Rowe who caught Ruru napping on, and he was able to score a try, and then you had Ratama go head to head against Pony's boy Danny Tusitala. So, Pete, I'll come to you with this one. When you compare the nines over the weekend, who do you think had the best game out of the 4 nines?
Well, I thought Ruru had the best game. I was actually live at that game, and
You were?
I thought, yeah,
Yeah.
and they, the Waikato boys did start off really well. Caught him napping there at the rough time, but then I thought Ruru came into his own after that. He was a bit quicker to the rucks. Not usually his game, but he does that. And he just brought his physicality and his tackling and just the short plays around the rucks with the runners. So yeah, and in the end, I thought Ruru probably was. I thought he was one of the best players in the end. After that, but then Danny came on and brought his speed and and yeah.
I think that's what makes Danny so dangerous is that he could play a full 80-minute game, but when you've got a kid that's so fit, who's come from sevens as well, and who's just a great player all around, if you bring him on 60 minutes, even though you've got Mitre Cup athletes who are fit as hell, he'll gas a lot of people, and it's something where if you utilize that in that 20-30 minute span, he's deadly all serves around. What about you, Jeff? Do you think that Ruru was the number one, or Danny, or who do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't catch the whole game, but I did catch the part where Danny sort of come on and make a difference as well. And I totally agree. Bringing someone like Danny off the beach is pretty dangerous, especially when defenders are a lot more tired around the rucks and stuff. So someone like him, he's always testing those defence. Sort of the rock action leader around that ruck. So, definitely a dangerous person to bring on.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't just target the props; he targets everyone. So he's good fun when he comes on the field. But I think the man of the match of the game, it has to go to Celesi Rayasi. He not only did he end up scoring a hat trick in this match, which is phenomenal in its own right, he was making significant offensive contributions throughout the whole game. Jeff, I'll come to you first. What do you think makes this guy so dangerous on the field?
Oh, he's like a rubber band, eh? He's hard to tackle. And he's just got his involvements he's starting to find ways of getting himself into the game a lot more. And he's definitely key for Auckland because was it last week where they lost to Harbour and he didn't play? Is that correct? And they went down. He didn't.
I can't remember.
He's definitely one of their key guys to go to, and he just brings that excitement around the ball, and he's got some awesome skills, like in the air and with his feet as well.
Yeah, Pete, anything to add?
One of those players that seems to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Just has that knack of getting to where the players. So outstanding athlete too.
Yeah, that was like one of the tries he scored. It was basically like it cut out a frame, and then you just see him pop out of nowhere, catch it, and score a try. And I was like, man, where the hell did he come from? But he's phenomenal. I wish the Blues could grab him because he's playing for the Hurricanes, isn't he?
Yeah, he's signed to the Hurricanes. Yeah.
Blues, sign him, get him on the roster. Yeah, But it's disappointing because Auckland have lost a few players early on, but they continue to stay strong every year, and they put together great performances. And I know Mitre Cup is such a volatile competition, and anyone can have their day on any time anybody faces against anyone. But that's what makes the competition so great. So, Pete, do you think that Auckland get the job done this year, or do you think there's another province that could possibly knock them off?
I think it's going to be out of them and the Makos. I know they beat in the Makos convincingly earlier, but the Makos are sort of getting a bit of momentum now. They're getting some players back from injury. So I think it'll be a tight one, but I'm backing all the way.
Well, Jeff, I'll give you the final question on the Mitre Cup. Is is before we move into the AB's tests, you've obviously played for the Bay of Plenty, and you know how important the logo wood is in the competition. And there's always been a big debate for years going on about what's more special, is winning a Mitre 10 Cup or winning a shield, because you get to hold that shield and you get to have that challenge. And there's a lot of people that are making the argument that saying that the Ranfurly Shield is more special than winning a Mitre 10 Cup. So I want to hear from someone who's played in the comp. What are your thoughts on the debate?
Yeah, I think history. It's the history of the log of wood which makes it really special. With the Mitre 10 Cup, obviously that competition's been around for a long time, but it's changed over the years as well. The log of wood, man, is always the log of wood. Like, some of the challenges, and if you just look back in history of it, how good some of those clashes are, whether you're one of the mighty provinces or one of the ones trying to challenge for it at the bottom. And I was lucky to challenge for it in 2004, and we took it off Auckland. Nice. No one expected that that day. But Auckland rolled out a few ABs that day as well. But it was
makes it even better. That makes it twice as good.
I think it was just just because of what it was and the log of wood. It sort of as a player you sort of get up for it a little bit more, and especially for the challenge. And then we held it for a couple of games until we lost it to Canterbury in the same year. But even just defending it, it's massive, man. Like some of the down in Tauranga where the Bay of Plenty are based in Mount Maunganui, that was like a different place for those next few weeks. So definitely, I think it's the log of wood that boys look forward to playing for. But definitely at the end of the season, that lifting that trophy towards the end of the season, after a long campaign is very rewarding as well.
Pete, final words. You reckon log of wood, or you reckon Mitre 10 Cup?
I might go with Jeff, because I was actually watching Jeff that day. Him and Kevin Senior, our other coach, both played on that day when they took the log of wood off.
Oh, for the Bay as well. Did Kev play in that team?
Yeah, he played.
Nice.
So I could just remember how excited they were, and how it was a special moment for them. So I was just it was at Eden Park too.
Oh man, that'd be crazy. Yeah, I think you could go to any New Zealand pub in the world, and in New Zealand, and you could sit there and go, "Oh, what's your favourite Ranfurly Shield match?" And they'll come out of nowhere. They'll come in hot with 1985 or something like that. They'll know the game straight away. So I think it definitely holds a lot of weight, and especially in a lot of provinces. And you said it right. Once it comes to a province, that province just gets up for it. They sit there and they're so happy. Everyone's walking around just like, we've got it. Come take it off us. So that's definitely good. But let's switch gears and let's get to talking about the Bledisloe decider over the weekend. So the All Blacks once again captured the cup for the 19th straight year with a very convincing win of 43-5. But now, before we get to talking about the gameplay, I'll be a stick in the mud. I want to talk about a little bit about the refereeing. So specifically the TMO's influence over the game. So we all know that the Dane Coles try that was disallowed may have not had any bearing on the outcome of the game, considering how big the deficit was. But Angus Gardner, who was the TMO, and Ben O'Keefe, who was on the field as the referee, had an interesting dynamic coming to this decision. So from my recollection, Ben said he was happy with the grounding and he wanted to go upstairs just to double check stuff, and Angus ruled against it. And some critics are saying that Colesy didn't have full control of the ball when he had downward pressure, and some critics are saying that Angus Gardner was swayed by the crowd booing at him on home soil. But from a legality perspective, it's my understanding, so correct me if I'm wrong, you just need, for a try to be awarded, you just need to have any part of your hand to force downward pressure on the ball. And that's according to the law. That's considered a try. So I understand that we have the technology and we should use every advantage we have, but I feel some of these decisions can take away from the continuity of the game. So, Jeff, I'll come to you first. Does the TMO process need to be rethought, or did Angus get it right and it was a no try?
Oh, I definitely think it needs to be rethought, especially that game. I'm not sure if it was something that the Aussies did, being biased or whatever, but just the amount of replays that keep going on, and anything about the All Blacks, like for example that try, whereas if it was on the flip side, they didn't replay it as much, and but looking back at the rule around Colsey, it does state that any part of your arm has just got it. It doesn't say anything about having control, but any part of your arm that forces the ball down is a try.
Because that's happened in a previous Test match as well. Is that they had the ball? I can't remember who it was, but someone went to score a try and they had downward pressure, and it looked like the player didn't have the ball directly next to them, and then it was awarded against them. So, yeah, it's something where I think it gets into semantics, and I think when you go through 20 replays of the same thing, you're eventually going to find something.
You're eventually going to change.
It's like a cop following someone. If you follow them long enough, you're going to eventually find something wrong. So it's that kind of process. But Pete, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought, the more you slow it down, the more you can see what was wrong with it. I think he ruled that he didn't have control of it, but that's not part of the rules.
Yeah.
He just had some sort of down pressure on it. But I just thought every time you sort of slow down a movement, it looks like you don't have control of it. Yeah. But then when that's a hard one. But I did think that was a try. I mean, according to the rules, but I don't think he had control of it.
Yeah, So if there was a rethink of the process, like I'll just get you guys to give me a quick answer. Is would you guys rather it just be the big decisions? Like it's if you have a referee that says they're okay with the grounding, they just need to back themselves, and then just trust their ARs, or should there be a protocol of this particular play should go upstairs? What do you guys think?
I just think that the ref should have just made the call.
Yeah.
I think it should go upstairs, but just one look at it and then make it decision.
Yeah.
But not the 5 minutes, going over 20.
Yeah.
Because I think they got to get it right. Especially those big games.
Yeah.
Especially
it's a Bledisloe decider. So yeah. Yeah. All right. We'll leave it at that because we don't want to sound like biased All Blacks fans, but we'll start talking about the Wallabies. So the next topic I want to talk about is the decision to place Noah Leulusoo in the starting number 10 jersey after losing Tamua and O'Connor. So although Noah had a great Super Rugby season and obviously got injured, and he showed glimpses of decent gameplay in the Test match, he unfortunately wasn't able to produce in the first Test match, aside from scoring the only try that the Wallabies scored. So Leulusoo isn't the first debutant to have an average Test debut, and he won't be the last. But Jeff, I'll come to you first. Should Dave Rennie have placed someone like Leulusoo in the starting jersey, or now that he's had such a terrible debut, should it be Harrison or Hodge in that number 10 jersey, or should he trust that he's shaken off the cobwebs and he's all good now?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Because you sort of probably look through that Wallaby squad that he's probably the only specialist 10 they sort of had after the couple of injuries they had. So to put someone else in there, was it a good move, or just throw a young kid in there? Probably not the best against an All Black side that's getting better week by week. But he would have learned a lot of lessons, and it's just now how he kicks back and gets better and develops now. And take the learnings, because that was a big game for him to jump in on, and start. And the All Blacks are on fire. It just shows some of the analysis work that they do. A lot of that came off really, and just through simple plays that the ABs sort of exploited them on. So coming back to the 10, I think it was probably the only option they've really had, to be honest.
Yeah, Pete, do you agree with that?
I'll stick with him. I'll put in my pony's hat on. Give him another go, and like Jeff said, he'll learn heaps from that. So he's obviously been chosen for a reason. So I'll just, I don't think, benching him will do much for his confidence. I think just putting him out there and giving him another go, and making sure that he learns from that first one. So yeah,
definitely. And Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. It's the last thing you want to do is tell a kid who played in his first Wallabies Test match that given the perception that he's never going to play in it again, and put him on the bench. So yeah, I definitely think he's blasted out the cobwebs now. He knows what to expect, and now that he's got a match coming up with potentially the Pumas as well, that would be a good Test match to get his feet wet, and then try and get kind of the understanding of how to play Test match rugby. But another selection for the Wallabies that was a bit of a head scratcher for a lot of fans was picking Leulusoo over Tupou in the starting jersey in the prop. So now I even question this one, because I'm not saying Leulusoo is a worse prop. I just felt that when you've got Tupou, who can consistently play 80 minutes like he did in Super Rugby, and he was so disruptive to the All Blacks in the first two tests, he was the better choice, I think. But Pete, do you think Tupou should have started, or was this the right front row for this particular team?
No, I agree with you. I actually don't know why he was not benched, to be honest. I thought he was one of the Aussies' best players the first 2 games.
Yeah.
But I thought they were sort of had a set piece mindset, and with the weather, because it was a little bit wet, maybe they wanted to play a little bit tight. But that's probably the only reasons why I would think Rennie would start a little, but no, I agree with you. They should have just rolled out with Tupou again.
Yeah, because he killed it every time. Even when you look at the first Test match, his first tackle he made, he came flying out of the defensive line, and then the All Blacks didn't know what to do. And the second Test match, the All Blacks adjusted to it, and they played very well. But he's still just such a disruptive force. And even though he may get a couple of penalties here and there, the pros and cons list really outweighs what he's going to have a disadvantage of. But I think the last question
he's probably the only sort of forward that really sort of with his body language really wanted to take it to the All Blacks. Head off his line speed and just with his overall mongrel attitude.
Yeah.
You need to is that day, or you need a player like that anyway when you're playing the All Blacks. But yeah, I thought he gave that, and
probably definitely. If you look at on the flip side of it, where Dave Rennie was probably thinking, he probably wasn't expecting the All Blacks to get such a lead.
Yeah,
he was probably more hoping that Leulusoo can do a job for 40 minutes and then bring on Daniela and just let him loose, and bit tired, more defences, and because he becomes very important around his ball carrying and just being in and around the nuisance around the rucks and stuff. So probably something that backfired on Dave Rennie, but he's good enough to be up there from the start to the finish.
That would be my same thought process as well. As your first game on home soil is, you'd think that you would have some sort of advantage, but it's pretty interesting with the wet weather concept. Yeah, it's definitely we'll never know. But where do the Wallabies go from here? Just I want you guys to, if you guys were the coach, what would you do?
Loose,
Jeff.
I think we'll just go back to the basics, just going back to keeping it, nice and simple, and probably going back to what their strengths were in their first test, is, when they were able to, sort of come and play down that short side a lot more with a lot of decoy runners and stuff. Because that's probably, you look back in the past, that's probably what Australia's game is, and around, all that decoy running and what they bring in, because it sort of tested the All Blacks. But I'd definitely just go back to the basics, get their set piece right, get their bloody starters right, and get their kicking game right.
Kicking game, for sure. Yeah, Pete, anything to add?
No, I like the basics piece, even though Jeff doesn't really believe it when he's coaching.
All right, we'll move on before we start a boxing match over Zoom. But there were a lot of great players in the All Blacks this weekend. But with his outstanding performance in the Bledisloe Cup final, many people are giving the man of the match to Richie Mo'unga. So, I personally didn't think he played consistently over the whole 80 minutes in all of the Test matches, but he still played very well in a lot of segments. He made that much of an impact that he played so well. His defense was solid. His infield kicking was great. His kicking off the tee was even better. And to top it all off, he almost scored a hat trick, but he ended up with 2. So, but now there continues to be the ongoing debate in New Zealand, and I'm pretty teed into it because I've got a lot of mates back in New Zealand who the number 10 of New Zealand truly is, and who has he cemented that jersey. So a lot of people make the argument that Bodie and Richie, they played the pivot pivot role or playmaking role to kind of get both of their best players on the field, and that's valid. And because Beauden is a 2-time World Rugby Player of the Year, he hasn't been given enough opportunities in that number 10 jersey to be a part of the conversation. So, Jeff, I'm going to put you on the spot. Is the debate over for who the best number 10 is in New Zealand, or does Bodie still deserve to be in the conversation?
I don't know. Bodie's got a chance this week to prove it, hasn't he? Named at number 10.
Yeah.
No, because I think still Beauden Barrett's a class number 10. But I totally agree of what you just said before was, having, 2 good playmakers on the field that make good decisions, who both can kick really, really well. But yeah, the debate around who's the best 10, I don't know, because I'm a Richie Mo'unga fan as well.
Pete, what's your thoughts on the debate?
I think that 2 playmaking role that the All Blacks use is starting to work now, because they trialled it probably, but what it wasn't the right time to trial it during that World Cup. But I thought, on the weekend, I just proved that there's something in there. And, you can see that try that Mo'unga scored where Beauden came into the first receiver, chip kicked it, and, Mo'unga was second, grabbed the ball and scored the try. So I think there's a bit of merit to that dual playmaking role now. So,
it's a bit of a head scratcher. It's something where, because we haven't seen Bodie play, we don't know.
Yeah, because if you see the All Blacks, they, even Jordie Barrett's not even a right winger, but now, from Saturday, he's probably one of the best wingers in New Zealand after that.
Yeah.
It's sort of compromising everywhere, not just first 5. So it's a hard one.
Yeah, well, it's even. I think they're very versatile when it comes to preparing them for any situation. Like you even saw in the World Cup, Jordie Barrett. It doesn't matter what game it was; he was playing number 10 for one of the games. So it's something where they're able to prepare him for any type of situation, and probably the hardest time to do that, which is Test match rugby. So it's something where I think that's where the All Blacks flourish, as opposed to a lot of other, I guess, teams or systems that don't really have as much depth. They find great players, stick them in that spot and go, that's your spot, don't move. So, yeah.
No, I agree, man.
Yeah. Okay. So I think at the start of the show, we talked about Ponsonby. It's produced the most All Blacks, and we've seen a few in the All Blacks right now. So we've got the Ioane brothers, we've got Paddy Toops, and I've seen Caleb Clark has now joined his mate Danny Tusitala and is now associated with the Ponies, which is news to me this year. But the player I want to talk about is Rico. So he's been a star in the All Blacks for a few years now, and has made the transition from wing to one of New Zealand's most dangerous number 13s. He killed it in Super Rugby Aotearoa, and I loved him in that position. But after a costly mistake in the first test, his starting duties dwindled away, and they were given away to others. So I'm a big Rico fan. I always have been. It's not because I went and coached at Ponies. I always been, because he's been just an amazing player, and he brings an element to the game that a lot of players just don't. So, Pete, I want to ask you the question: as you know him and his family quite well, did Rico redeem himself over the weekend to receive this starting spot that he's just gotten over the weekend, or is he better as a utility back coming off the bench and being able to slot into so many different types of positions?
I'm a bit biased. Rico is definitely a starting player for me, and I think his best position for him and for the team is at centre, where he makes the most damage. Just such a really good athlete that can offload, and just physically big too, so can take the crashes, can play both games, the crash game and the feeding game, feeding his back. So, definitely starter for me.
Yeah. Jeff, what are your thoughts? Do you reckon he redeemed himself?
Yeah, he's definitely not one that you can leave on the bench, because I think he's just got too much class. But playing in the midfield, I think in test level, I think he probably needs to sort of develop the skills of playing midfield, because he's got the X factor. Probably just around his his organization, his communicating, and just a bit of direction with his pods and stuff that he's got in front of him. But I think he's going to develop, and he'll eventually be that a centre and then probably a centre for a long time.
Well, that's something that we've seen happen throughout his whole career. Is he obviously he's played various positions in club rugby, and then he's gone and he's played wing for the All Blacks, and then he's gone into the Blues, and then he's taken that mantle as the centre to give other people the opportunity to play in the outside back position. So he definitely has the potential to do that. There's no doubt about that. I think that if he does what he's done in year out, like he does with everything else, he just commits to perfecting his game. I agree with you. I think he's definitely going to become one of the best centres, if not the best centre in New Zealand rugby, and that's not me being biased either. So, but there's another guy who's a Blues player who I was really impressed with over the weekend, and that was Alex Hodgman. So he didn't go too hard, or he didn't do anything too flashy like most props, but I really like his style of play because he's very, very specific about what he does. He took over for Big Carl in Super Rugby Aotearoa this year when he was suffering from injuries, and he came off the bench for Moody in one of the test matches this recently and performed pretty well. And he looks like he's comfortable in test environments. So Jeff, is he giving the starting props a run for their money, or should he be kept in that replacement jersey for a few more games just so he can get his feet wet?
Oh, I think he's definitely knocking on their doors. He's, and like you said, he just come on and he just did his role, Like he tackled, he cleaned the rucks, nothing flash, he carried when you had to carry, got around the park pretty easy because, he's quite mobile, and I think that's where his strengths are as well, especially playing at a high intensity. He can, keep ticking all those little boxes as a front rower as well. But, and scrumming wise around the set pieces, it's pretty solid. So I'll definitely, he will improve in the next couple of years as well. And he could be pushing those boys as well, the bigger boys.
Pete, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's a sign of a good prop that just comes in and does his work. And then anything after that is just extras. So, no, I thought he was solid. And that's all you need to be in an All Black pack.
Yeah, that's the thing. You just need to come in, do the role, and that's it. Yeah, because you can leave all of the flashiness to the backs. Let them have all that, and then you just come in, just have your fun in the scrums and the line out. So yeah, I agree with that. Well, the last thing I want to talk about is now called the Tri Nations being decided to be played over in Aussie. So obviously, as a Māori boy myself, I'd obviously love to see the Tri Nations or Rugby Championship or whatever it's called be played in New Zealand. I really think Sanzar have dropped the ball on this one just from a logistical standpoint. So when you look at the elements in the decision, you've got two big question marks. The first one is South Africa having a big say in where it should be played, and they didn't even turn up. So I don't know why they were even involved in the conversation in the first place. And the second is the attendance numbers. And this is the most important thing. So in Australia, you had the COVID factor, which is obviously still evident. But when looking at attendance numbers recently, you had the NRL Grand Final that had 40,000 fans in attendance over the weekend in the test match. You had on home soil a Bledisloe Cup decider. They had social distancing in place and they had 18,000 fans in attendance. So I don't know what that does for atmosphere. I think it's pretty woeful, but I've said it in the beginning. As soon as I heard that Aussie were hosting the Rugby Championship, this was a terrible and idiotic decision made by Sanzar. New Zealand had a plan in place for the tournament. Their COVID case numbers are basically nothing. Every game would have been most likely sold out no matter what province it was played in. And what's even funnier is Aussie played better when they were on New Zealand soil. So that's a point in its own. So we voiced our opinions a lot on this show too many times. I want to hear from you guys because you guys are obviously on home soil. So did Sanzar make a mistake by listening to the politics behind the scenes and choosing to have the tournament in Australia, or is there an upside I'm not seeing here? Because I would really like to be told by some Kiwi if I'm missing something. So, Pete, you go first.
I would have loved it to have it here, definitely. I don't get into sort of that political argument. But I don't know if it was Sanzar or the government. I don't want to talk about what was happening in the background, but yeah, we would have loved to have the Tri Nations here. It would have been, with the no restrictions, and yeah, you're right. We would have had every game full, and I was lucky enough to go to that Eden Park one.
Yeah.
It was just such a good buzz around all of Auckland. You know, the
It was
bars are
incredible, and I went to so many games at Eden Park, and even when they don't really have that too many fans, the atmosphere is still great. Having a full Eden Park, and I went for a test match when they played France when they I think in mid 2018. It was outstanding, but I think it's just a disservice to a lot of the test players when you want to come and play in front of a home crowd and you can only have 18,000 fans. It's terrible. But Jeff, I'll finish with you. Is like, I think, me personally, this is my opinion. If it was to go play in Hawke's Bay or if it was in New Plymouth or something like that, I personally believe that it would still be sold out. Do you believe that every New Zealander would have turned up and the games would have been sold out?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely would have all been sold out. That would have been, would have been the best place to bring it here. Like Lou said, no restrictions. Teams, would have enjoyed being out here and not being in a bubble.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll leave the politics to me, and I'll keep you guys out of it, so that way you can just stay smiling. But it's called the bonus point for a reason. And today's topic is we've got you guys here, so we're going to talk about grassroots rugby in New Zealand, and who better to talk to us about than you guys who should have been 3-time Gallaher Shield champions. We'll take two. We'll take the W for the third one, but. The Ponies Club specifically, there's something about it. It's I got an amazing glimpse while coaching there in 2018, and you just see what goes into building a great rugby club and how so many people care, and there's just such a great atmosphere there. But not everyone in the world gets that opportunity. So before we touch on the accolades and the high performance stuff, let's talk about the real grassroots stuff. So Pete, you took over as head coach 5 years ago, and it's been a very successful journey so far. What was that journey like over the 5 years? You taking over and reaching this point now, what was that like?
I was just, first of all, I was lucky to be appointed and then to take over from an ex-All Black of Officer Tunuru, who was the last coach for me. He left such a good foundation for me to come in and take over, which made that transition quite easy. But then as I was going through my journey, you had guys like Sir B.G. Williams, his brother Cecil. We got such a community that's still part of the club that sort of helps us and still really passionate about Premier and club football. That helped me sort of Jack, the guys like Jack Hutch. I don't know if you met Jack Hutch, he's also a legend coach at Ponies, but they sort of helped me mold sort of bringing our history in, but then, giving what my flavor is as well. I sort of owe it to them. And then I'm just lucky enough to get a whole heap of players, good players, especially out of that Mount Albert winning team, and the likes of Waimana and Paulie Roach, Rob Cobb, that sort of crowd that came in, sort of started our foundation and sort of stayed together the last sort of 2-3 years, and we're lucky enough to sort of build a winning team and get the result. Yes.
It's something that I found really interesting is like it's everyone pitches in, and it's really like it's a whānau, it's a family, so everybody loves that about it. And I remember coming back here in 2019, and one of the American boys came up to me and asked me, they were like, what was it like? And I was like, it was great, I loved it. And they were like, well, tell me your highlight. And I was like, I can give you a million coaching highlights, but the best part was getting served at the bar by Rico Ioane's mum. And then he was sitting there and all the boys just lost it because they're massive Rico fans. And then just things like that where you'll never be able to relive those moments again. It was awesome. But obviously you won the Shield in 2018, and Jeff, you've come into the mix as Ponsonby continued to stay a formidable force in the competition, and you've obviously got talented players. You've got great coaches like yourselves, and you've got Kev Senio, Tani Funga. You've got like guys like Michael Mau coaching the 20s, and then you've got Rocky Khan helping run the show for the club. Jeff, what about this program in your perspective is keeps this club so strong year after year? Is it just the strong pool of talent? Is it the support system? Is it just the coaching? What makes it so strong year after year?
No, I think you know the deal. I don't think it's I think it's everything. What the club sort of offers you. You know, everyone's friendly. Everyone sort of becomes your family, and everyone takes you in. And I think, you know, the culture, you know, that goes through all the teams is pretty much the same culture. You know, yeah, everyone's willing to work for each other when it comes to it. But also, you know, off the field, you have good times, and I think that's what community is about. You know, community rugby is, you know, coming to a club where you're going to enjoy your footy, but you're also going to have real good times and good memories, you know, after the game sort of thing. But yeah, I think it's just a whole heap of people, you know, from BG down to, you know, Rocky Khan, down to the coaches, and, you know, down to even to the juniors as well. I think it's just got a good little knit of, you know, community people that are all involved.
Yeah. And Pete, we spoke about it a little during our Mitre 10 Cup chat. Is you've coached a lot of players who have gone on to gain professional contracts, and a great example is the Auckland Mitre 10 Cup. Is you've got in that squad 12 Ponsonby players in there. It's pretty unheard of. Is what about Auckland grassroots rugby, and specifically Ponsonby rugby, that has helped produce so many quality players for the rugby depth of New Zealand?
Yeah, well, these players, you know, the great thing about these players that are coming in, you know, they're Ponsonby men. They're Ponsonby first. So anything they get after this is just a bonus for them. So I think that's the key for them. They just come in. They're obviously on a high performance program with Auckland, but we try to make our environment, you know, not so high performance, but, you know, sometimes we do need to touch a little bit on that. But for them, it was all about enjoying our sort of environment, and then anything else after that is up to them. So as long as you know, we're sort of creating that for them, you know, that's the sort of the best thing that we can do.
Yeah, I think I noticed that a lot. As I was sitting there watching you guys coach a prem, just like a captain's run, and it's usually when you go to a lot of other clubs in for example, like in Australia where I played a lot of my rugby, is you'll sit there and it'll be serious, and then you'll try and keep that mentality rolling on to Saturday. And so many boys that they just can't handle that much just collected seriousness rolling into it. They just get exhausted focusing on that the whole time. That's what I loved. I came into training and I ran a drill, and then the boys were laughing, they were having fun, and I turned and I looked and I was like, is this normal? Are these boys supposed to be having fun? But it's something where that's like you said, the beauty of the club is they can enjoy each other's company, and they know when it's time to switch on, and they know when it's time to enjoy each other's company and have a blast. So yeah, Jeff, do you have anything else to add to that?
No, I think you just nailed it. That's where the boys, you know, feel welcomed and just come and enjoy it, because, you know, that not every single player that's there to play they're about the high performance sort of side. Some guys are there just to, you know, work their 8 to 10 hours, turn up on a Tuesday, Thursday, have a run around and play Saturday, and then get on the piss, you know. But then there you have the other boys, that are, you know, that are about the high performance and about getting to that next level. So it's about just having a balance, really.
Yeah. And we spoke about it, is the development pathway system you guys have set up. Is you obviously you're churning out quality rugby players, and like I said, they're going to get various contracts, whether it's Mitre 10 Cup, it's Super Rugby, overseas contracts, something like that. With those players coming in and out of your program constantly, or the high performance aspect coming in and out of players that are, like you said, doing the 9 to 5 and then just coming to training just to get the fitness in, how does that affect your program, Pete?
We actually communicated to them. They actually know that these guys are gonna go away in programs, and the way we're looking after them is, look, we're gonna give these guys the Tuesday afternoon off, but for us, we're gonna work hard, because, you know, we're looking after our mates, because we know that they're already doing the work. So that's sort of already sort of built in our culture. And the way of, you know, looking after each other. So No, it doesn't really disrupt. If anything, it makes us work harder because we know that those boys are working hard. So, there's been some Tuesday nights where there's, maybe 8 of us.
Yeah.
But, the boys are still going hundreds. So, it's already built in our culture and it doesn't disrupt us at all. If anything, it helps us, yeah.
That's a good propaganda speech that I can send out to anyone who's looking to come play for Ponsonby, because I can definitely attest to that. It's a lot of fun and it's good stuff. But we'll finish off the pod with a fun question. I want to put you guys on the spot today, and like I said at the start of the show, Ponsonby's created some amazing rugby players, and many of them have gone on to gain contracts or All Blacks caps. And when I think of my favourite Ponsonby player, it's pretty easy, because it was the first day I walked into the club and I saw all the trophies and all the photos, and I saw the photo of Carlos Spencer, and I saw that, and immediately I was like, "Yep, I'm home. Thanks. This is awesome. I'm done. I could go home. I don't even have to coach here." That was my experience done. But when you think about the player that ideologizes like Ponsonby rugby, or your favorite Ponsonby player, Jeff, I'm coming at you first. Who do you think of? Who's your Ponsonby player?
Oh, it'll have to be Sir Brian Williams.
There you go.
Definitely. I think he speaks everything Ponsonby, really.
Yeah, BG was definitely my second. He was definitely a very close second.
Yeah, I probably would have had it the other way around. Would have probably had BG, and then would have probably had Carlos.
Yeah,
more than anything, because Carlos was good for the posters.
Yeah. As I think I was just such a big Carlos fan that when I saw that, I was like, yep, that's me. I'm a massive Carlos fan. But then I got to know BG over the year I was there. You couldn't say it any better. He bleeds Ponsonby. Yeah. He bleeds blue and black. It's something where if you ask him any question about anything, he's going to somehow turn it into a positive conversation about how Ponsonby is doing this or what we're doing. He's an amazing individual for an amazing club. But yeah, we'll finish off with you, Pete. Who's yours?
I'm the same as Jeff. Will definitely be BG. It just, sort of helped me heaps, old BG, and just the most passionate person about Ponsonby rugby that I've ever sort of met. So yeah, Sir BG, and close second will be Kevin Senior, I think.
Oh, yep. There you go.
He's got the slowest.
Yeah, sorry, Kev. Don't beat me up for not choosing you. But boys, that was great. I appreciate you coming on the pod today. Is there anything else what's the new plans for Ponsonby? Have we got any plans for sevens or what's the go?
We've got to have a review, but the sevens program, I think, start in a couple of weeks' time. I think it's a short program this year. Mm-hmm. Due to COVID, so I think they've got 1 or 2 tournaments, and then hopefully everything goes back to normal next year. But that's all up in the air.
Okay. All right, nice. Well, if anybody's interested in playing at Ponsonby or just being a part of the organisation, go to ponsonby.co.nz, reach out to their head honcho, Rocky Khan, or I can shoot up Pete's email and then you can have a chat to him, see if you can get him over here. But boys, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure. Pete, it was great seeing you again. It's been a while since we've had a chat, and Jeff, it was awesome to finally meet you, and I'm glad you're enjoying the culture of the club and getting your feet wet with the coaching. It's awesome. Any final words?
Awesome. No, just thanks heaps for the opportunity to come on your podcast. No, it's awesome. It's good to come on these sort of things and share a bit of life stories, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cheers, TJ. Thanks for having us.
No worries, guys.
Hopefully we were a bit too boring for you, but
nah, you were good. You were good. One of our best guests yet, so it would be awesome. That'll be good. All right, I'll post up the episode soon, but we'll be in touch. And thank you everyone for tuning into the Bonus Point podcast, and have a good evening.